What's good, my loves? Welcome back. And if this is your first time being here, welcome. My name is Chanel. I am with Lizzie's Charm, and I am a mystic, diviner, and hoodoo practitioner. Okay, so today we are going to talk about hoodoo, conjure, and root work, and really get a bit of an understanding of what it is that they are, right? And what the differences are between them, because although they are similar, they are all very different. So in the fullness of things, my purpose here is to help support you in getting to the depth of who you are and tapping into your personal power. Your our purpose in general, it really has nothing to do with what we do, right? It's a very much so within internal job. It's an inside working. It's not anything that somebody can give to you. It's nothing that someone can take from you as well. So I wrote some stuff down here just to make sure that um I have my points pointed. All right, so that the most of what it is that I want to share at this time comes through. Okay, so now, when it comes to our purpose, a lot of times those are the things that are missed, right? That our purpose doesn't have anything to do with our job, right? With what it is that what we do on the outside world. It's an internally generated kind of thing. And when it comes to the spiritual dynamic of things, the spiritual world, that word is thrown around a lot, right? And it puts us in a place of always seeking outside of ourselves for something to establish or what's the titleize, not that's not the word, label is the word that I'm looking for, of what our purpose is, right? But like I said, it's an inside thing. Okay, so it is very important that we take the time to move beyond our traumas, our conditioning, our wounding, right? Any type of stories, any type of ways that we have been taught to diminish, shrink ourselves, or that we have been, or that we have learned that we should be demonizing who it is that we are because it's not acceptable or right by the means of a societal standard. Okay, and really, when that happens, we completely throw out our gifts. We disconnect ourselves from what it is that makes us unique, that makes us special, which is an interesting thing to be talking about right now because the moon is in Aquarius, and that's what the moon in Aquarius is all about: being able to be yourself within the group, within the family, right? Within the friendship connection, right? So with that, it is all in a matter of connecting with what it is that is truly you, who it is that you truly are beyond all of these things. All right. And of course, that takes time, that takes healing, it takes a willingness to be very real and honest with what you've been through, how you feel, right? Willing to be open and vulnerable with first and foremost yourself, right? Because if you can't do that with yourself, it's going to be difficult to do it with anybody else. If you cannot be honest with yourself, you're usually not being honest with anybody else that you come in contact with. Okay, so, you know, I get it. When we hear the word hoodoo, when we hear conjure, we're wanting spells and tricks and rituals and everything of the sort. But I will be sharing those things, just not in the way that it is probably expected. It's going to come more through the classes that I'll be offering, and I will be sharing that over the next few weeks. So, those of you who are interested, y'all can join me and, gather, right? Come together and connect and resonate if that's needed for you as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. with that whole full disclaimer laid out. So let's talk a little bit about hoodoo. So hoodoo is it focuses on the rhythms of nature, right? It is rooted in the struggle and survival of a Black and Indigenous Americans. Okay, it is the way of life that has allowed us to survive, allowed our ancestors to really make do and thrive in times when all odds seem to be against them. Okay, it is what has it, it is the type of practice, it is the spirituality of Blackness, okay, that has held the family together, that has kept the faith strong, and it's like as long as we're alive, God is on our side, that. And really, with my experience of things, this is how I see it, right? I have learned from some really great people, um and but in the process of that, in the process of me moving through all of these things, I have found my own way, right? That wisdom comes when you apply and you have experience and your ancestors show up and guide you through what is yours, what is in your bloodline, what is in your generation. Right? So this is how I know it, coming from my own personal understanding. Okay? So with that, with all of these things, yes, it did entail works of one hand to protect the self and the family in whatever circumstance, by whatever means was necessary. But on the other hand, it is also the practice and the work of providing beauty and love, okay, and prosperity and abundance and thriving in life, right? And most of all, above all, peace, so that life can be lived in trying times, in times when um you are not made to be the priority, right? And that comes with having to put yourself first, having to put your family first, making what is yours and where you're at the priority. Okay, so with that, um it is also a space of bringing controversy, right? Especially the controversy in the nature of hoodoo being a cult practice. There are a lot of people who will say one thing, and there are some who say another, and in reality, um, it's really what helped people of color, right? Black and indigenous people of America survive, all right? So it is what allowed us to, a lot of us really, to be alive, to be here, to be capable and thriving, right? Being able to carry out and providing the stability for us to continue living out the legacies that we have been birthed into, born into our families. It is, or I should say, that is why hoodoo is very strongly rooted as well in ancestral veneration, because it is in knowing and connecting with your ancestors that you're able to understand who you are, where you come from, and that is really what is very important in knowing where you're going, how you're gonna go, right? But there have been a lot of things that have misconstrued, you know, changed the idea of that based on society and the public and group ways of thinking, So through that, through all of this and its ability, its power to bring such a power and the ability to survive, right? To thrive in survival in spaces where you are feeling like you are forced to have to survive, or feeling like that you are oppressed. It does become something to be feared, right? or to create fear around it, because of course there are people who use it for um you know, get back. Let's just keep it at that. Get back, right? Or utilizing it simply out of the fact of not liking somebody and when they don't necessarily deserve it. But of course, like I said in the last video, every action brings a reaction. Like there will be consequence when you are coming from a place of that space, right? But when it is recognized, seen, and honored as a place of protection, right? When it's coming from that space, then, you know, things are seen differently. It's a whole working of it that I really cannot get into in this video, but I'm gonna just go ahead and continue. So yes, it is a fear practice and it's said to be of the dark, but anything that has allowed people to continue to rise up time and time again, okay, to substantially provide, okay, and continuously make a way out of no way, basically. It's just like, well, how are you doing this? Like, what do you have that I don't have? Right? It brings questions. It brings like the audacity of you to be able to, right? So basically, this is a practice that is indigenous and culturally influenced, you know, by what the world continues to attempt to imitate, but you know, it's the thing that cannot be duplicated. So with that, in addition, hoodoo, it is moved in by way of animism, and animism basically is a spiritual belief that the spirit realm, the spirit world, is what animates this material world, right? So with that, that basically means that you can seemingly have absolutely nothing to try to make do of what it is that you're trying to do, and can actually take what it is that you have within the space that you're in and connect with the spirit of that, right? And create something to manifest what it is that you are attempting to bring forth into your world, into your life. That's some powerful shit, okay? To be able to take a glass and make it do something, okay? To have a penny, all right, to have a lighter, okay, and connect with the spirit in that, that makes it what it is, and utilize that to support you in what it is that you're trying to do, okay, and to know, to be able to have the understanding that that's even possible, um is a powerful thing. That again, it shows that the power is within, right? Because it comes from that knowing that that is possible. Okay, so basically, basically, along with that, what else did I want to share? Okay, so also hoodoo is not limited to any type of religion, any type of pantheon, or any type of deity, right? So there is literally no limits to who or what can be used. Creativity, it rules here. Okay, it is king in this, and that is why hoodoo is really gate kept, right? And that comes from um to keep another protected from all that could potentially go wrong in the practice, right? Because not knowing certain things can lead to more than less than desirable experiences, okay? When you don't know what you're connecting to, when you um don't have the understanding, when you don't have the wherewithal within the self, to, or when you don't even really have the courage, right? Have the lack of fear, because that can twist some things up as well, right? But that is where all of this, you know, leads into conjure, right? Because just because somebody practices hoodoo does not mean that they know how to conjure, does not make them a conjurer, right? Because hoodoo in itself is really, it has a lot to do with the trick. It is your ability to trick someone into believing that you have more power than them, for real. Especially when it comes to the tricking of sorts, right? So when it comes to conjure, a lot of times, we hear people say, oh, my ancestors got me, right? And it's true. They do have you. They have us. But it's only so far that they can reach when you are dealing with entities and energies that are beyond that level of the spirit realm. So there's levels to this, so um conjuring is basically the ability to call upon or invoke a spirit into your working, right? And that takes another level of the self to connect to in order to be able to do this, to know what you're doing, to know who you're connecting with. It's good to study when it comes to conjure, even to hoodoo, so you can know the things, so you can know and connect with the spirits of things, so that you can know what energies that you are working with, so that you can know what entities that you are working with, right? It has a lot to do with your knowing, with your knowledge, right? And then having the understanding, really truly having the understanding of what it is that means and how you can work with it, right? So um the work that is carried out, it when it comes to conjure, it occurs over a process of time. Okay. And it is, again, a study of the types of spirits and entities that exist, right? This is learning about different religions. This is learning about different goddesses and gods, okay? And knowing who they are, what their energies look like, what entails with that, like learning about the metaphysics of things, learning about the metaphysics of, or the symbolism of things of your everyday world, right? Because everything is included in this. All has to do and takes place when it comes to conjuring a thing. Okay, so with that, it's important to know these things, because sometimes we may not necessarily know exactly what energy it is that we want to connect with, right? That we need to utilize within our work, right? So we could be open to simply calling down a spirit that's going to support us with that. And when that energy shows up, it's going to start showing itself to you, and you need to know if that's the type of energy that you want to deal with, that you want to connect with and bring within your space. Okay, that's the thing. So with that, there will be other times when you and y'all might hear some stuff in the background, because outside this room is my husband and my son, and they live in. So there will be times when with spirits that you want to imbue the essence of, right, within your work, that you want to invoke, right? So you want to know all the things about this entity, right? This spirit, this deity, so that you can properly connect with it. Okay. So with that, with the conjuring, like I said, it takes time, and what I say, the longer the better, right? Granted, it doesn't necessarily have to be a long time, but the more that you can connect with it, the more of its essence, the more of its power will be within the work it is that you are doing at this time, right? But you know that's the same way that takes place, also a certain time of day, right? A certain day itself, and the ability to pray. And when I say the ability to pray, I truly mean that, because a lot of us don't know how to pray, right? Without begging, without coming from a place of victimization, right? Without coming from a place of sadness and despair, right? When in reality, praying is an agreement, it's an affirmation, it is a statement, it's saying what a thing is, and having the ability tapping into the power of prayer in itself is a form of conjure. Okay, so majority of the power within all of these things come through the word, right? If you are following me on TikTok, I made a full video. I made a video. Oh no, it's here on my YouTube too. The last short video that I posted, like I talk all about words, okay? And you know, we get to doing all these things, learning all these things, and sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they do work, and they are exactly what we do not want, right? It looks like it, but it operates from a place that it's not like it seems to be not in alignment with what we wanted, but in reality it is in alignment with wherever it is that you are, right? And that is where the root work comes in. That is also why a lot of the things that I am sharing and will be sharing has a lot to do with the healing of the self, with the coming to awareness of the self, the understanding of the self. Because once you get into putting your energy within your work, you will understand why it is that things are coming out the way it is that they are, out of the fact that you now have the proper knowing and understanding of yourself. It's really a showing and reflection of where it is that you are and what it is that you still may need to do some healing, do some self-alignment to what it is that you want. So with that, root work is a form of traditional healing. It is traditional healing. Okay, it's of the earth and the powers that be within it, and it brings a surmountable change to any condition. Any condition. Okay, so with that, it provides us healing in our lives on a holistic level. It's this is not root work is not about the spell. It's not about the spell. That doesn't mean that the hoodoo and the conjure doesn't go into it, but it comes from a totally different place, right? Root work really stems on breaking the chains, breaking the karma, and everything of the like, so that we can live a life of freedom. It is a type of practice that builds and brings strength to the community in knowing that you can move and work through any stronghold, okay, that is existing in your world, any, to release yourself from that, right? I kind of like to look at root workers as the spiritual doctor, right? Because it they show up, we show up on the behalf of spirit, being the intermediary that can remove the illnesses, remove the curses, the hexes, the blocks that are yours or ancestral, from the unseen and the unknown, right? To bring that healing, and it comes from a holistic view. It is not just that, it is that and everything else that has to happen on your part, right, to bring the change as well. So when it comes to root work, there is a lot of knowing and knowledge and understanding that is important to know when it comes to the workings of life, the workings of the body, right? So when it comes to these practices, it's not just I'm gonna light a candle, I'm gonna rub some oil here, I'm gonna put some herbs here. It is a full knowing, a full understanding of self, of life, of humanness, of being, you know. Um, so when it's all said and done, our ancestors, they are our first line of defense. They are the ones who are going to show up and guide us further into what is more for us to connect with, right? And the rest will unfold. So, if this is something that you are wanting to get into. Connect with your ancestors. All right, begin there and allow who you are and what is yours to be unfolded for you, to somebody call me, to be unfolded for you, and to show you the rest of the way, because it will come, and all things will be revealed to you in the timing that is needed, right? And yeah, y'all, that's all for now. So I hope that this video blesses you. All right, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.